made a little bit of a mistake because I knew I needed to look into my retirement options here in Germany when I moved here 10 years ago. I just thought, oh, like now's not the time. What if I don't stay in Germany? All of these questions I should have asked myself when I first got here and I didn't. And now I have to deal with the consequences. But it's never too late to start financial planning, to start retirement planning. I wanted to film my retirement planning meeting with the expert David Reinhard from Invertas and basically give you guys an insider perspective and why you shouldn't wait as long as I did to start retirement planning. But if you did wait that long, then you gotta start somewhere. It's better to start now than later. Let's go.
Thank you so much. So, my name is David. I'm a retirement planning specialist at Invertas, and we have focused and specialized on consulting experts to live here in Germany regarding their pension and retirement planning. We as a company, we do this as independent financial brokers, meaning that we're not working like for an insurance company or for a bank or for like a big institution. We are like by law only applied to serve our clients. What that means concretely in the pension field, we can offer every pension provider essentially that's there on the German market. And we specialize in scanning this entire market and seeing where is the best solutions for our client essentially.
When you move to Germany as an immigrant, as a foreigner, things just kind of get deprioritized. There's other things that you figure, okay, it's more important. I have to find my apartment. I have to do this and that. And the list seems to be never ending. So I actually just started paying into a private pension. Since I myself am self-employed, it also means that I was never paying into a government pension. I have various different private pensions that I'm only putting a little bit of money into right now, because to be honest, every time I have a chat about pension insurance, whether public or private, I just kind of feel like I just end up
overwhelmed
somewhere. Yeah. So this is what I hope that this call will kind of help me understand it all and make better decisions for myself moving forward, so that I'm not feeling like I'm being taken advantage of, if that makes sense. I think my biggest worry is that I want to be self-sufficient and I want to take care of myself and take care of my pension. But then I also have, my German significant other who is here like looking through my paperwork yesterday and was like, Jenna, the plan that you're paying into right now, you're not making any win on it. And last year was a good year. So then I'm like second guessing myself. And I thought, you know what, perfect time for this call. Let's ask some questions.
Thanks for the introduction. That's like very, very common. The topic pension retirement is not as aware in the expert community as it is with Germans, because they grow up knowing already from childhood on basically, what the government will provide as a pension, this will be very, very little. So you need to take care of your pension privately. My experience is the longer experts stay here in Germany, the more this awareness sinks in.
I think for expats and for foreigners moving to Germany, one of the most difficult concepts to grasp is, why would I invest into my pension when I don't know if I'm going to stay here for the rest of my life? That was one thing that I recently just learned, is that you should be and you can be investing into your pension, and you're not going to necessarily lose it if you invest in the right pension plans as an expat, right?
Rather, what you should do as an expat, get in the mindset, so to say, you will have different pensions from different countries anyway. The goal should always be in every country that you're in, just use the possibilities that you have. In Germany, we will talk about that today. But then when you leave in Germany after 5 years, we will talk, also how flexible the plans are. You can save a lot of taxes. You can do great things there. Then you will be well off in retirement. How we begin most consultations is basically seeing, what do you want or need in retirement? Building wealth, that's something like in a different category, but retirement is just being well off, having a good standard of living also in your retirement.
In my case, I never really understood kind of what I wanted, I think, because I am very savvy with my money. I'm not cheap, but I'm frugal, I know how to spend my money well. Very pflegeleicht, I don't spend money on much stuff. We've not really been these people with high expectations or high needs, and I don't really ever see that changing. So for me, I thought, okay, well, how high does my pension really need to be? Because we own a few properties, so that kind of is great in the back of my head to know we have that kind of also as a retirement plan. But I know that can't just be it, that's not the be all end all for my retirement, and that we need some sort of stability moving forward.
How we start with most clients is to see, what will you get from the government. When you're employed, you're paying in a government pension where you will get at least a little bit, but it always helps to calculate and see how much you get from the government, how much do you need, and then how much do you need to put aside in order to reach that goal. We have developed a calculator for that. When you Google pension calculator Germany, and our website is one of the first links. And what we do there is basically seeing how much government pension will you get, how much you need to take care of yourself, and then also how much do you need to put aside with what interest rates in order to fill that pension gap. We also do this in the consultation, essentially. For you, it's pretty obvious. You have to take care of all your pension yourself. Most of your viewers will be employees. We will just do the standard case. Our average client makes about 75,000 a year, but you can just calculate it for you, and you will see for the higher salaries, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. The government pension is very, very small. Our typical client, pretty much exactly 30. We have over 4,000 clients, so you can see that data there.
Do you find that's where people usually realize, oh crap, we need to do something?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not the only one.
Yeah, and it's also a good age to take care of it. Of course, we all know it would be the best case when you do it right, when you get your first job and everything, but that's when it fits in, you've settled down, and now, this is my salary, and these are my expenses and everything is sort of settled in, and you can start thinking about this topic. You will see that from the government, if everything goes well, you will get approximately 2,100 euros. So you can see when you make much more, 10,000 euros a month, so 120,000. This doesn't change super much. Right? So it's 2,400, but your pension gap gets basically higher. So you see, the higher your income is, so it's a very extreme example, when you make 200,000 a year, right? Then you see you gotta take care of all your pension yourself, basically, because there's a cap. The takeaway is the higher your income, the more you have to do your own. But for most people, it will be okay. Some part will be the government pension, and the bigger part, 60-70%, I will have to take care of.
It was hard kind of digesting that information when I first heard it. I mean, this is also similar in Canada as well, but what is the ratio like nowadays in terms of how many people paying into the pension does it take to support one retired person?
You're speaking the exact problem. Our pension system was introduced when it had a chance to work. So in 1970, for example, there were 5 working people supporting one pensioner, which is very reasonable. Now it's only the 2 of us supporting one pensioner. With the demographic changes, it will be very close to 1 person when we retire, 1 person supporting 1 pensioner. And we all see this mathematically, no matter how much you wish that the world is good and everything, but mathematically, this cannot work out. Essentially, the takeaway should be, you should have your own private pension. If you get something from the government, then that's a nice add-on, but you should never calculate with this money as being given.
And this is where you come in.
Exactly. The important thing is right now, okay, how much do I need to put aside to retirement? With this calculator, you can get a very, very good guess. You click on proceed with step 3. Here you can adjust the interest rate. There you see, okay, how much do I need to put aside today monthly? Or if I adjust that in 3 years, how much would that be? And I will also show you how important it is to start early. Let's maybe begin with a negative example, when you just leave your money at the bank account. You can do that. You can also leave your money in the bank account, but it will take you extremely much money monthly in order to just fill that pension.
Okay.
So this is an example of somebody making 75,000 a year. Don't just leave your money at the bank account or in a low yield pension plan, because that won't get you anywhere.
Okay.
What you have to do is invest the money properly. Nobody can see the actual future, but we can look 200 years in the past. Then the worst cases were like 6.5% over like a 30-year period.
Okay.
Right? You can say that very exactly from statistics. So in the worst case, right, when you invest your money properly, you will need to have put aside basically 650 euros a month in order to fill the pension gap. And then you can be absolutely sure.
Okay.
We are fans of calculating with the worst case, and then of course when it comes better than that, you're positively surprised. But we rather want to calculate with the worst case than with the best case, and then have a negative surprise.
Yeah, absolutely.
The average is around 8 to 9%, right, in the market that you get. And let's take the 9% minus 1% fees and costs and everything, right? Then you see it gets very, very, very easy. So when you have the average return, like it was the last 100 years, then it's just 350 euros to put aside essentially, and you have taken care of retirement, right? Yeah, and your retirement contribution should be somewhere between these two numbers. When you want to be very sure, then more along the 650. When you want to say, okay, I calculate the average, then more like 350, 400.
Okay.
And you see it gets very doable. That's why I said it's not hard. It's very doable to put aside 300 to 600 euros a month when you have the salary. Of course, when you earn half, then half. When you earn double, then double. In the worst case, 10% of your gross salary.
In terms of flexibility, how easy is it to increase your payment or maybe temporarily decrease your payment? For example, like if someone was going on maternity leave or paternity leave, is there a possibility to change it? Or do people just say, okay, well, save up more money before and after you go on your maternity or paternity to make up for it?
No, that's a very, very important aspect, that you are indeed flexible. So it's very important to pick a provider where that is possible.
Okay.
And where that doesn't have negative consequences. We will get to that in like choosing a provider then later. But it is very important to choose a provider where that's possible for everyone, but especially for experts, because it is a realistic scenario that you leave Germany in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. And then it's very important that you can just pause this plan and let the money that you already paid in still work for you and still compound for you without any consequence. And then later also get your pension anywhere in the world.
So this idea of pausing a pension is then possible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, when you have the right provider, it's no problem. So this is basically the first step of determining how much do I want in retirement or need, and how much do I need to put aside. The second step is choosing the right vehicle. This is where it starts getting confusing in Germany, because there are many different plans with many different advantages, disadvantages, and characteristics. It can be very overwhelming. Then you can also Google just pension plans Germany blog article. Yeah, also one of the first links where you get an overview basically.
Okay.
And there are 3 pension levels in Germany. 1 and 3 is going to be relevant for your viewers. Level 2 is basically just a Riester pension and a company pension. And with both, as we discussed, you have this pretty low interest. No matter what tax advantages or whatever you get, as soon as you have a low interest, it gets very hard to actually reach the retirement goal.
In regards to company pension plan, I guess a lot of people don't go that route, but is it true that people may end up having to go that route if they change a job and then the company says, well, we've been putting your money into our company pension, so you can either keep it there or then lose out on money pulling it out?
Yeah, I mean, when a company gives it to you as a social benefit, so when they say, hey, Jenna, we really appreciate you as an employee, that's why we give you 200 euros a month in a company pension, of course you take it.
Yeah.
Right? Like free money, you don't care if the interest is low or not. What you shouldn't do is convert a lot of your salary into a company pension. So pay in out of your own. Although that might sound attractive, right? As you get the tax benefit and as your employer pays a little bit on top. When you actually calculate it, and I do this calculation every second consultation because the company pension is pretty popular among experts, right? And when you actually do the comparison, right, in hard numbers, basically always the case that you're better off doing this privately.
Okay.
So basically, you can imagine on the level 1, there's the government pension. Private equivalent is the base pension, also called Rürup pension. Very German word. You can see it spelled out here. Right? Basically, you can imagine this plan like 90% of my clients have. Also, me and my wife do for our personal retirement planning, because the big benefit there is that everything that you pay in this plan, you can 100% deduct from your taxable income.
Okay.
Meaning it 100% reduces your taxable income by the amount that you pay in. That means from the contribution, they get a big tax refund.
Okay.
Right? How big, you can read that in a blog article of ours, and we can also link below. So when you make 50,000 a year, then your tax refund is 33%. When you make 60,000, it's 36%. When you make 70,000, 39%. And everything above 80,000, it's a 42% tax refund.
Wow. Very good. I put in monthly like 100 euros right now into a Rürup Fund. I hope I just said that
Yeah.
right. And my husband, he has a government pension plan, and then he also has a passion investing into different ETFs and different stocks and portfolios himself. Can he claim any tax refund with his ETFs?
So on ETFs and also on the level 3 pension, you cannot claim tax refunds.
Okay.
Right? So tax refund is only in the Rürup. A Rürup is not just an ETF with more advantages. There are also disadvantages, and you have to know these and weigh these. How a Rürup works, you put in money that you can fully deduct from your taxable income, meaning you put 10,000 a year in, you get 4,000 back from the government. For that, the money is locked in there until retirement. With ETFs, you can move flexibly in and out, which is great. Every advantage has a disadvantage and the other way around. Right?
Okay. What's the difference between different Rürup pensions then? Like, is there an advantage to putting it all in one or to separating it?
We will go through that in a second.
Okay. Jumping ahead.
Let me briefly,
All right.
That's good that you're already proactively thinking. I really like that. Getting back to the Rürup, how it works, you put money in, the money is invested in funds, it compounds until retirement, and then very important, you get a lifelong monthly stable pension from that. So it's not a product where you pay out the money at once. It's a product where you get an actual pension. As long as you live, you will get this monthly payment, and this cannot decrease no matter also what the stock market does.
Even if you leave the country.
Even if you leave the country. So you can get this pension anywhere in the world, doesn't matter where.
Okay.
So that's very, very important. Most people want to have both. They want to have first a stable income and then flexible savings.
Yeah.
Right. So most of my clients actually do both. They save like in ETFs and flexible funds and everything, and also do a retirement plan where they get a tax advantage and then later a stable income.
Awesome.
This income has to be taxed. Very important, right? So it's taxable income in retirement at a much lower rate, very likely in your retirement. Even if you do a great job and have like €1 million in rental income in retirement, you also pay 42% taxes in retirement. Right? Even then, it's very good because you basically got the government's money to work with over 30-35 years. You get interest and compounding interest on the government's money essentially for your retirement. So for who is this interesting? When you have a high income in Germany and therefore pay very, very high taxes and want a stable income later in retirement. Level 2, there's nothing further to say about that otherwise, other than that's just not attractive unless with Riester you have a low income and many kids, then that's a rare case where that's attractive. The flexible pension, it has some tax advantages in retirement when you pay out the money. There's not a huge difference between putting your money in ETFs and then later paying it out versus putting your money in a flexible pension plan and pulling it out. You will have a little bit more in the flexible pension plan because of the tax advantage, but it's very long term. Right? Because, of course, in a pension plan, you have way more fees than you have in an ETF plan, meaning it's really only worthwhile when you plan to take it out after 62.
Okay.
Then you pay very little taxes on that money. Right? So again, wait until retirement, pay very little taxes on that money. But when you want to have access flexibly before that, always go for the just broker account.
Okay.
Or when you're at the point that you already have 100, 200, 300,000 saved up that you want to invest, then a pension plan makes very, very much sense because then the tax saving, of course, is way higher than if you just invest your €200 in a broker account.
So it would be good to have like a mixture of both the level 1 and level 3 then.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what most of my clients do, is having a mixture of level 1 and level 3. Like you can do a very beautiful model, basically, in my opinion, that most of my clients do. For example, they say, I have €500 a month that I want to invest for retirement. They put this 500 in the base pension plan, in the Rürup pension, get a stable income later from that in retirement, and the tax refund that they get, so €200 approximately, that they reinvest in the flexible plan. The flexible plan is basically only paid in by tax advantage money.
Okay, that's a good idea.
And it's always amazing to see, like, then you have a couple €100,000 in retirement just from the government's money, then it really becomes
And so this Privatrente, I have one, for example, that I pay €100 into, not in the Rürup, but the other one, which is this Fondsgebundenen, did I say that right? Privatrente, and is that the same thing then as this private pension level 3?
Exactly, that's a level 3, exactly.
Different words for it.
Exactly.
All right, good to know.
Then I would say let's just calculate,
Mhm.
right? That you get like a feeling of the concrete numbers also. That leads us to the question, how do you choose a good insurance company? We have over 160 providers that you can in theory choose from. We look at 4 points that are, in our opinion, very, very important when choosing a pension company. The first one is financial stability and track record / tradition. So your money is in a pension plan for a very, very long time.
Mhm.
Right. So first, the insurance needs to be financially stable, and they must have also proven and having a track record of doing this business for a long time. I like startups. I like young
That's
teams
what I was
and
just about to
everything,
say.
right?
Yeah.
But nobody in their right mind would put pension money with a startup company.
Okay. Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
And I really like, as I said, I really liked it. I have nothing against it, but in the pension field, it's very important to choose a provider with long-standing traditional track record. Allianz, Nürnberger, Continentale, Alte Leipzig, all these companies, they have 100 years plus of experience. The second point is cost efficiency. Of course, every plan deducts cost also from the contribution and the capital and everything. We basically specialize in comparing all the providers there and picking the one where you get the best conditions. The third point is a good fund selection.
Mhm.
Because as we discussed, we need a very good investment and a very good interest in order to really fulfill our retirement goals and get there easy. So we need to pick an insurance where we have good and sufficient funds available. For example, with some insurances, there are like only actively managed funds available or like funds from the insurance itself, which usually comes with a very high management cost, but not really more interest. In most cases, even lower interest. So we want the insurance where we can pick like cost efficient funds like ETFs, right, that are broadly well diversified, that we can invest in long term and have a good and diversified return long term.
Okay.
And the fourth point is the topic pension payment, which is a very, very important one, closely linked to the first point, because essentially it's not only important that you have as much capital as possible at the end, which is strongly influenced by the cost in the funds, only important that that capital is converted into a good pension. So we need insurance that has good surpluses, that handles your money in a good way, that invests your money also during your retirement in their own assets in a good way. That's why it's important to have that track record.
Okay.
Right? And that's a very important point. So for example, there are insurances that are very cheap, but have a bad pension payment. And you get less pension with the very cheap ones than you get with the more expensive ones. The quest is to find a sweet spot, essentially, right? Between, okay, I look very closely at the cost and see that it's not getting out of hand, but it's still one insurance with a lot of tradition and track record that pays me a good pension.
Yeah.
So that's very, very important. That's how we select the insurance provider. At the moment, of course, like conditions can change. At the moment, Nürnberger Insurance has very good conditions and fulfills basically this whole package. Right?
Okay.
As they have a very long track record and tradition, founded in 1880, right? So they do this business for a very, very long time. Very good cost conditions, have a good, sufficient fund selection, and excellent pension payment.
Okay. Would you recommend this for most of your clients then at the moment? And then maybe it will change based on if their conditions change?
So the thing is to select a pension plan once, a good one, and then stick with it.
Okay.
Right? Also because of the cost structure that we're going to go through in a second, because most of the costs are paid in the first 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't switch pension plans the entire time, right? So it's important to pick one good pension plan and just stick with it your entire life. 80% of our clients are with Nürnberger. The 20% that are not basically are US citizens because they have very special rules in investing and also pension plans. If you're a US citizen, you can also go into consultation with us. Just type it in before that you are a US citizen. And we also have good solutions for you and good providers for you. But for example, Nürnberger won't take you as a client.
Okay.
So we have no attachment to the insurance whatsoever. And we also get the same commission from every insurance. So for us, it doesn't matter if that's Allianz or Nürnberger or Alte Leipzig or whatever insurance, because that's government regulated, essentially.
That's really interesting to know. That was going to be my next question for you, is in terms of transparency. I mean, this is mainly why I really wanted to have you on our expert team, is because I felt like there were a few that just weren't transparent. And then I was wondering, like, is it because they make more from one company versus another? Is that why they're selling me on this one and not the other? And then I guess I was curious to know, why do different advisors have different favorites? You don't ever want people to feel like they're being ripped off. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. And that differs a lot, as I said, from the independent consulting to the not independent consulting, because here in this sphere, you have contracts directly with the insurances. And of course, some insurances give you more bonuses or whatever, right? And your special contracts that you're doing sales for them, essentially. Here, that's forbidden.
Okay.
Right? So we're not allowed to have any
government regulated.
Exactly.
Or independent contractors. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically we're like by law, as I said, have to act in the best interest of.
Wow. Very good. That's good to know.
So it's very, very important. Yeah, it's very, very important to know like the entire market and the conditions, and then also being unbiased, and then also understanding on how the structure of these plans work, that you can actually make a good recommendation.
Yeah.
Because when you don't understand it, that's oftentimes the case here. It's not that people have like bad intentions, I would say. They just don't know the field very, very good, because they do a lot of things, not only pensions. And we discussed this in detail. And then basically say, okay, I offer 10 different things. I also offer this pension planning, and just ask my sales manager, oh, what plan do we recommend? And then I just recommend this, right? Yeah. Without knowing, okay, in detail how this plan works. And of course, that's not in the best interest of the client.
Yeah, I think this is also one point that I really want to stress to many people is that a lot of us, I try a lot to do most of the paperwork in German, because we live in Germany, we should be doing it in German. But then I guess in the last 2 years or so, I've realized, you know what, if it means I'm going to struggle or get screwed over or not understand something, and the option is there to do it in my mother tongue. I mean, I know it's more stressful for, the Germans to have to speak English to me, but it's something that I'm very, very grateful for. And that I think that as a native speaking English person, I definitely want to take advantage of, especially in this case, so that I totally understand it, because I understand that, these pension insurances, they don't offer it in English, but we have people like you, who can go through it with us in English. And that's so, so, so important.
Exactly. That's very, very important. Also, that you can ask any question that you want, and then you have an expert that can answer also any question. There's no question that you can ask me that I cannot answer, because I focus only in this topic and very sharp on this topic. So getting to the concrete calculation, as you see, we calculated this with Nürnberger insurance for the discussed reasons, and just calculated like a concrete example for you, Jenna, with 500 euros a month, which is, by the way, the most common contribution with our clients, right? So that's a very standard case. You see, maybe first getting at the tax side, when you contribute 500 euros a month until 67, then you paid in 210,000 euros, right, in total. From this 210, you get back in taxes 81,000 euros.
Wow.
Broken down on a monthly basis, from the 500, you get approximately 200 euros back in taxes that you already paid.
Nice.
So when you're an employee, then you pay the 500, and then at the end of the year, you do your tax declaration and then get a tax refund.
Okay.
Because your employer already takes out the Lohnsteuer out of your payslip. When you're self-employed, that's even better, because then you can just pay the 500 on like money from coming in your account, and then you do your tax declaration always afterwards, and can already subtract it, so you pay less taxes in the first place.
Okay. And with this 500, would you say that's more the average for somebody who's employed and who already has their government pension? Would you say for me, then I should be looking at putting more into this other private retirement plan as a self-employed person?
Again, that depends on what you want in retirement, right? And you also have other investments. But yes, the 500 is the most common contribution for someone who is employed and has a good salary. Okay. Right? By the way, when you make more than 85,000 a year, right, then this monthly contribution is capped at 892 euros at the moment. Okay. Right? So 892 and 500 are the most common contributions. So that's just from the concrete calculation from the tax side. And then the important question, what do you get out at the end? And there we always calculate with two numbers, 7% and 9%. Why these two numbers? Because essentially, as discussed, like 6.5%, 7% historically was the worst case in a broadly diversified fund investment, and 9% was the average. Okay. Right? So we always calculate with these two numbers that you get a good idea of both scenarios. With 7% performance of the funds, you pretty much exactly get 2,900 euros monthly pension at 67.
I'd say it's pretty good, at least for my living standards.
Yeah, that's a very decent for a 500 euro contribution. right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's with 7%, and with the 9%, you can see that here you get 4,500 approximately.
Okay.
Very likely gonna be within these two numbers, right? Where exactly, of course, nobody knows.
Yeah.
These are the historic boundaries.
What do most people tend to take it out at 62 or 67? Like, is there a specific age where you find most people start taking out their pension?
Yeah, a big majority at 67, because that's also where you get the full government pension,
Right.
And then also this pension is calculated with. What I can say from most of my clients, they plan to go earlier.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
my parents both went earlier in Canada, much earlier. I think they all retired before 60, around 55.
Yeah, this is also the goal of most of my clients, to say, okay, at least from 62 on, I want to be able to retire. If they then do, that's another thing, right?
Yeah.
But at least have the sufficient retirement savings that you can retire, right?
Yeah.
So 62 is, again, very important, the earliest age you can access that.
Good to know.
Anything before, again, ETF fund, real estate, perfect. Also in the plan, in terms of flexibility, you can increase, decrease anytime.
Okay.
You can pause anytime without any penalties. We will discuss it when comparing some costs, because with some insurances you have penalties for pausing, but there you have no penalties. You can access the money from anywhere in the world. Select the funds really that you choose. We will go through our recommended portfolio there in a second. And you can change the funds anytime. So you basically have all the flexibility that you want in such a plan. That's basically it regarding the plan.
And I feel like I'm going to have a million questions afterwards. And if anyone else has questions, of course, you can leave them down in the comment section below.
When you have a question, then you can just write me an email. You can also bring your questions to the consultation when you already did think a little bit about this topic. So that's very important to us, that you can always ask anything, because I always say there are no stupid questions.
I feel like that's
the one who doesn't ask, that is stupid, right?
Yeah.
Because it's important to understand the financial aspect of it.
And you have some really, really good blog posts on the website too. So I'm going to get you to send those all over to me, so that I can also include that in the description down below for everybody else to check out, because I don't think I've ever seen it that easily explained, easily digestible, you know?
Yeah, that's always the goal, to make it easily understandable and still getting all the information, getting in that. Basically, anytime you Google something with these topics, you will always find our website. You can read the blog post there. And we are also, of course, also going to post them there. So you already get a general information with this video. Sorry for being so long, but I think it's very, very important to really deep dive into these topics, that you really understand it, and also get to see aspects that you normally don't see, like this sort of mock consultation, right? After watching this video, you should already have gotten like a lot of good information. And when you want to take care of retirement, right, and see how that looks for you individually, then feel free to book a consultation with us. Jenna will have a link basically in the description, where you can contact us, and then we can calculate everything for you individually and see what makes sense for you there.
And it's never too late to get started. It's what I've learned. I'm not
exactly.
too old.
That's the takeaway from this video. Never too late. Just get started. Get good information, and then just be consistent, and you will have a very, very good and nice retirement, sipping margaritas at the beach.
Even if you leave Germany, that's a good
Even
point.
if you leave Germany.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all of your amazing tips and the whole rundown and everything. I think this is like my third consultation call, like just going over retirement planning, and every single time I learn something new. So I'm very, very thankful, and I'm so excited to have you on our team of experts.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jenna. Really enjoyable.
Are you guys still with us? I know that was a long call, but it was definitely worth it. Thank you all for tuning in. If you have any more questions, definitely send them below in the comments, and either David or I can make sure to respond. Vielen, vielen, vielen lieben Dank, und wie immer, bis später.